how often people just film their own crimes or post on Twitter about illegal activities that they're doing, and then it eventually comes back to haunt them where they lose their job or get arrested. It's just wild that so often people have this complete lack of self-control and inability to stop themselves from saying or doing dumb, stupid things on Twitter. Like, posting cringe on Twitter has cost more jobs than the invention of machines. And today I want to go over a disturbing new case of gross shit. This was something that went viral a few days ago, but I've only just now caught up on it. It's really gross, and I actually think that this is a deeper onion than most people realize. I think that this was all a manufactured marketing campaign conducted by a shameless degenerate in order to get OnlyFans subscribers. So, let's take it from the top. I'm sure if you were on Twitter a few days ago, you saw this post floating around. This little bit of eyeball poison was getting dunked on by everyone around the globe. And if people weren't shitting on it, they were shitting themselves out of just pure repulsion. So the post is talking about how they're coming out as trans canine and talking about how they've been with 6 dogs. So they celebrate fucking dogs, and they double down on this, triple down on it, and have made it their entire brand identity now. Like, this is now their online presence, is being the dog fucker. And they're very open about it, talking about it, and trying to make it like some kind of powerful movement about why fucking dogs is a great thing. Obviously, I'm on the side of common sense here. Animals can't consent to having sex. Thus, you're not even having sex with the animals, you're raping them. You're a dog raper. It's called bestiality, and it's a crime. It's illegal. It's not something to be celebrated or encouraged. Now, I think the person behind this knows it and was making this as a giant post that would hopefully gather a lot of hoopla and put eyes on their content. Because even prior to this post, they were dropping nude photos, lewd photos, and just talking like about trying to monetize their sexual content. And then after this post got so much steam, they made a statement saying that this had cost them their job, they now no longer have a way of making money, so in desperation, they're saying fuck it and starting an OnlyFans. When I'm pretty sure that was the entire plan from the get-go, and by having so many eyes on them from all of this spotlight that was shined there, they immediately got a giant head start. Like, they're way over 150,000 followers at this point, and I'm pretty sure that this was their intention from the get-go. They chose something that they knew most people would have a problem with. No one likes to see animals being abused, and no one likes to hear about animals being used as like sexual objects or sexual props for people in their content. It's like, that is beyond weird. So they are probably aware that by making that post, it would have gathered a lot of steam, which it did, and then they immediately went around with this narrative that they were fired. There's no way of knowing 100% for sure if they were fired. I take all of that with a grain of salt. And even the way they talk about it, like in that post they're saying they're going to sue everyone that got them fired, that just seems like a troll. That legitimately just seems like a weak, low-effort troll statement at the end there. There is evidence to suggest they may have actually lost their job from this, but even still, I don't think it's 100% confirmed as of this moment. Like, it just, to me, feels like this was all part of the plan. And you can also even see them, like, lean into it. If you go back a couple days before this blew up, they made this post about how OnlyFans models are the devil. You know, this is terrible stuff. Look, what kind of example are you setting for children, you godless heathens? And then only days later, turning around and dropping one of their own. OnlyFans is disgusting and you're going to hell for it, as they're signing up for an account. I could be wrong. This all could be done genuinely and wasn't meant as a marketing play for OnlyFans subscribers, but to me, that's just really what it feels like. It feels like someone that is very aware of what they're doing and trying to capitalize off outrage and being the villain. I've said this a million times, but on Twitter, since everyone has unlimited access to every unhinged thought and person imaginable across the globe, you will always find people that agree with you. No matter how outrageous the belief, you will always find supporters. And that's exactly what's happened here. They now do have legitimate supporters backing them and the dog fucking stuff from other equally deranged animal fuckers. It's pathetic, sad, and it's just really depressing that this is actually succeeding for them financially. Now, if I'm correct and this is all just revolting marketing for their OnlyFans, it doesn't make any of this justifiable, excusable, and it doesn't make the whole situation any better. but it would at least be nice knowing that the person behind all of this isn't actually a danger to animals around them and having sex with them, as well as other awful things that they've been talking about recently. Though I do think that there is a possibility that this is all true and they are actually out there harming animals, and they're just spitting in the face of anyone with any level of human decency, making posts like this saying that they'll buy a wolf pup with their first OnlyFans check, which is, of course, them not so subtly letting people know that they're going to be buying an animal for the sole purpose of having sex with it. They even mention that they're a size queen in reference to buying that wolf pup. So that's like something that needs to be like actually investigated, if this person is a legitimate danger or not to animals. Now, if I may, I'd like to turn your attention to another piece of evidence that I've collected in this case, and I'd like to present it to the court. So this is Exhibit D here. This is a post from them today, which is now seeming to champion for incest, talking about how having sex with your cousin is fine, it's all good, it's normal, and it shouldn't be like stigmatized and this and that. So this reinforces to me the thought that the person behind all of this is someone who is just trying to choose the most disgusting stances possible in order to attract as many tomatoes being thrown at them, so that way hopefully they can then catch a couple of like mentally unwell stragglers that are agreeing with them and then signing up to the OnlyFans. That's what this whole thing seems to me. Of course, I could be wrong, and this really could be someone that really believes in fucking dogs as well as incest, because they go on and on to try and defend this whole cousin sexual relationship thing. It's more really gross, repulsive stuff. But I just really do think that this is all just supposed to drive traffic to their OnlyFans through outrage. But yeah, regardless, the whole thing is horrible, the person is horrible. So yeah, that's to believe in the paranormal. However, I've recently been convinced that there's one man that's being haunted and possessed by a bad take demon. And if you're a fan of sports, you know exactly who I'm going to talk about. When you hear the word bad take, one image and one name pops into your head. Skip Bayless. He's been around for a long time. When I was a huge sports fan, I used to watch him and his shows as well. However, I don't much anymore. Now I just kind of see the viral clips of his most awful brain-dead opinions that are usually just way off the mark, or him just cosplaying as LeBron James boxers so he could hold his meat. I can't decide if he truly believes half the shit he talks about, because some of it's just blatantly wrong or just weird. So I don't know if he says it for the sake of shock and controversy for views, or if he really is just an android that's powered by awful sports takes, like he's algorithmically programmed to deliver horrible sports opinions. But last night, this reached the boiling point when he dropped this stinker. This tweet, I believe, is the highest ratioed tweet on the entire site. I haven't been able to find anything that has a stronger, fatter L plus ratio here anywhere. Now, before diving into what made this tweet so hated, I'll give context around it in case you're unfamiliar with the situation that it's in reference to. Last night in the Bills vs. Bengals game, a player for the Bills named Damar Hamlin was making a tackle and he got hit in the chest, and when he got up off of making the tackle off the ground, he collapsed. Medical personnel attended to him for about 10 minutes performing CPR before he was taken away to a hospital. His condition was unknown, but it was very scary to see that. Most people were afraid they had just watched this young man die on the field from this, and it was just a really horrifying situation all around. Of course, a ton of people from all over went on Twitter to talk about it as well as offer prayers, hoping for a full recovery for Damar Hamlin. And then there was Skip Bayless, who went on Twitter with two tweets that weren't anything bad, just kind of talking about what was happening and like how serious it was. But then on his third tweet, something went awry. Some wires got crossed in the old dusty brain of Skip Bayless. This was not a third time's the charm situation here. He let the bad take devil out to play. And that's when he dropped this tweet. This poorly worded masterpiece is what's getting dunked on right now. No doubt the NFL is considering postponing the rest of this game. But how? This late in the season, a game of this magnitude is crucial to the regular season outcome, which suddenly seems so irrelevant. Now let me break down why this was hated so widely, because when I talked about it on stream, there was a few people that were confused by it, which in turn confused me at their confusion. It just became this fucking degenerate cycle of spitting confusion at each other's mouths like two girls, one cup. So, the reason why most people, including myself, found this to be a dumb tweet is because of how callous it reads. It feels more like Skip Bayless is focusing on the importance of the game rather than Damar Hamlin's health. Instead of being concerned for Damar Hamlin here, he's more concerned about the game. And since it's an important one, they're considering postponing it, but how? That's a tough thing to do. Which he's not wrong about. Postponing and suspending a game is not an easy decision to make, and it is an important game, but that really isn't what's most important here. And when you read this tweet, it feels like he's saying that the game is what's most important. And that last line where he says, which suddenly seems so irrelevant, well, that little zinger had more interpretations than a Rorschach painting. So some people are saying this is Skip Bayless saying that, the game's important, but now it's not because of Hamlin. So he is putting focus on Hamlin. But the majority of people read that as Skip Bayless being disappointed that the focus is no longer the game. Oh, this game is so important, the magnitude, it's crucial to the regular season, and postponing it, how? It's such an important, crucial game to be played, but now it just suddenly seems irrelevant. Like, it sounds like he's disappointed that the Hamlin injury has taken the focus off of the game. So his tweet is to put it back on the game. It's a poorly worded, jumbled thought here that reads badly and reads very callous. And it doesn't even, do anything. He's just talking about the difficulty of rescheduling or postponing a game. And he's not wrong. It is hard. But what the fuck is the point here? Why even mention this? Everyone knows it's not an easy decision to make on whether or not to suspend a game in a situation like this. That offered nothing, and it just seemed like you cared more about the game than Hamlin. He did then drop this apology tweet. Nothing is more important than that young man's health. That was the point of my last tweet. I'm sorry if it was misunderstood, but his health is all that matters. Again, everything else is irrelevant. I prayed for him and will continue to do so. This one rubbed me the wrong way. This one grinded my ass. This is a little petty, but he's saying, sorry if it was misunderstood. Just take responsibility. You poorly worded it. Don't say, I'm sorry you guys didn't understand my wise words, my sage wisdom. I'm sorry it went over your head with what I was really saying. Just be like, yeah, I didn't word my thought properly. Because it is just poorly worded. It is just not worded correctly. If your point is all of this isn't relevant now because we should all care more about Hamlin's health than the outcome of this game, then you should have made that more clear, because the way it reads is that the game is more important than Hamlin's health, which is obviously why Skip Bayless became a public toilet for everyone to shit in last night. Now, to give an update on Damar Hamlin's condition, as of right now, the most recent update, his vitals are back to normal, but he remains sedated. So things are trending in the right direction. The official statement for what happened here is he suffered cardiac arrest following that hit, and that's what was going on. So it's just a very scary situation overall. He remains in critical condition as of right now, but with his vitals being normal, things seem to be stepping in the right direction, so hopefully everything continues to improve for Hamlin's condition. Now, I do want to mention something wholesome that's happened in the face of all of this awfulness. Damar Hamlin had a charity that was doing a toy drive, and after this hit, they've raised over $3 million for that charity. So I just really thought this was something very positive from the community to come together to show support for Hamlin. So I definitely wanted to mention that. Overall, Skip Bayless does what he does best, make a fucking fool of himself. The tweet was horribly worded. I don't not believe him that he cares about Hamlin's health more than the game. I feel like you'd have to be a real evil son of a bitch to actually think the game is somehow more important than Hamlin's life. So it's not like I think that he's lying about what his intentions with the tweet were, but it's just so poorly worded, as are most of his thoughts throughout his entire career. So that's why he got dunked on. It is just still a shit tweet overall. And that's now become part of Twitter history as, I believe, the most ratioed tweet to ever exist. At the very least, the hardest ratio of 2023, and we're already kicking it off in a big way here with that one. That's going to be a tough ratio to beat. To see someone never give up in the face of adversity, to push forward and achieve great things, like Rocky or Will Smith in iRobot when he was telling people hey, these robots are a little fishy. And they said, hey, pal, you just blowing from stupid town? And then turns out he was right, and he still protected us anyway. Point is, this is the backbone to so many of the best stories ever told in books, movies, TV shows, and anime. It's like one of the 10 commandments of anime for every protagonist, just that never quitting attitude. But in the real world, when companies in particular adopt this never give up mentality, it's pretty embarrassing and pathetic. In particular, when it comes to Meta. Or, as you know them, Facebook, because nobody really knows this fucking clown company is anything other than Facebook. Meta's been on a bit of a cold streak recently, with the most recent embarrassing blunder being the Metaverse. More like Meta reimburse everyone who bought into that scam. Being sold as like the way of the future. Nowadays, it's just a barren, empty wasteland of broken dreams and broken promises. The goofballs just made a virtual reality experience more primitive than Roblox and Second Life. It's just shameful. But they didn't give up. They didn't quit. They said, you know what? That was so good, we're gonna do it a second time. What about second breakfast? So they're trying another venture here, and it's actually opening to pretty big success. And it's what we're talking about today. Threads, a Twitter competitor. Twitter's had its own series of missteps, quite a few blunders. They've given up Scholar's Mate a few times here, and it looks like Meta's trying to strike while the iron's hot, so they released their own Twitter competitor called Threads. When looking it up, I saw this headline: Meta's Twitter competitor for friendly conversation launches early. And this feels like the worst article ever written to promote something. Calling it a place for friendly conversation makes it sound like Weenie Hut Jr., where you're not allowed to go in there unless you're wearing elbow and knee pads. Not that I like Twitter. I think, and I've been very vocal about this, I think Twitter fucking sucks. I don't think the world was ready for a platform like that, and it is just the absolute worst thing for a human being's mental health. And now for the first time, we're being cursed with a platform that threatens Twitter's stranglehold on brain rot. This is like that scene out of Godzilla where he says, let them fight. We now have two kaijus going to war over poisoning your mind, basically. So you have Twitter, which is no stranger to horrible decisions, and now you have Meta with Threads, which is no stranger to horrible decisions. Obviously, Meta's mainly going to be using this for more data harvesting, I imagine, since that's kind of their bread and butter behind their business models. But this is a big deal because Twitter now has actual competition in the space. And it doesn't seem like they like this ball game very much, because apparently Twitter is threatening to sue Meta for Threads right now, saying that it stole their trade secrets. I don't know what Krabby Patty secret formula they think they cooked up there, but Twitter itself was already derivative of some of the old message boards from way back in the day. It just kind of became streamlined on Twitter, and everything just got so concentrated on the internet as a whole that everyone flocked to Twitter for the experience. I don't know exactly if they have a strong case against Meta here for Threads, so I guess we'll just have to see how that whole soap opera plays out. But honestly, the biggest thing about this announcement that I see nobody talking about for some reason is the fact that Meta maliciously calculated today as their launch day because they knew that I was dropping our Plague Seeker animation. They wanted to take the wind out of our sails knowing that Plague Seeker was going to hog all of the internet's attention for today, so they had to drop Threads in order to take the wind out of our sails, which is foul play from Meta, but I'd expect nothing less from fucking Zuckerbot. So don't let them win. Go watch the Plague Seeker animation. We worked very hard on that. But anyway, I don't want to get too lost in the sauce here at the buffet, so before the steam keeps pouring out of my ears, let's focus on Threads. I have always been extremely vocal about how important competition is, and more now than ever since everything is getting so concentrated on the internet where pretty much all discussions are happening on either Twitter or Reddit and like nowhere else these days. I always think competition is a great thing. But that being said, Twitter sucks shit through a crazy straw, and I am not thrilled about making another Twitter account on something called Threads. I don't need a Twitter 1.5. I already don't like current Twitter, so why would I come around for the sequel here? I don't need too fast, too Twitter, so I'm not going to make a Threads account, but I'm glad that it exists, and I hope it does become successful, so that way Twitter doesn't have a stranglehold on brain rot anymore. They can now share the neural load, and maybe, now we're just spitballing utopias. Maybe Threads actually does become a great social media platform somehow, and Twitter can just kind of be like this quarantine zone for, wild, wacky nonsense. It could just be like the fucking loony bin, right? Then I'd make the switch to Threads. But for now, I don't need another Twitter, so I'm not going to be signing up for it. I'm not exactly, scratching at my neck for more of that experience. But like I said, competition is great. And I do hope Threads can at least threaten Twitter enough so that way both can improve. So that way you're not stuck with constant dog shit changes that make the user experience worse. Most important thing to remember about competition, that it is always the best thing for consumers. You want competition. This isn't me trying to hypnotize you, I'm telling you a fact. You want competition. You don't want one entity to have all of the power when it comes to a market share like this. So it's good. But I don't like Twitter, so I'm not making a Threads account for more Twitter. But I'm out here rooting for it, even though it is one of Meta's. But at least now you get the choice. Do you want to stay on Twitter, or do you want to go to fucking Mark Zuckerberg's booby here and suckle on that for the Twitter experience? You get choices now. And since I don't have a Threads account, I've just been reading people's personal accounts of the site. Apparently they're not allowing like pornographic material, and they're also like censoring people, like individuals. I don't know how true these claims are right now because I'm getting conflicting information from different sources. And if both of these claims are true, the censorship is a big L, but not having it constantly feeding you pornographic material, I actually think is a good thing. I don't know if that's a hot take or not. I was talking about this on stream last night. I never stopped to think about just how weird it was that Twitter's a platform that you have to be 13 or older to sign up for, and it just has porn plastered all over the place. And it's super common, especially in replies. And this is a platform that is, again, 13, which is below the legal age for porn consumption, which is 18. And it just wasn't even something I even thought about until a couple people on Twitter started mentioning it, and I was like, huh, that's an interesting point. And the majority of the time, it's not age-gated at all. You just immediately get fed the content with no, like, safeguard in place or anything. You'll read a goofy tweet that you're giggling about, you know, such as the timeless classic, dude walked into the pee store and said, "Is this the poop store?" It's like, brother, look around. And you're, you know, busting a gut laughing at it, having an old belly laugh, and then you scroll into the reply section to see who else is laughing with you, and then bang, just a full picture of a gaping, leaking butthole and an OnlyFans link. And it's like, what the fuck? So yeah, I'm not exactly going to be crying about the lack of porn on Threads if that is the decision they decide to make. But I did look up some complaints that a couple of articles have noted, so I'm just going to go through those real quick, because again, I'm not making an account on Threads right now, so I don't know firsthand what the experience is like. According to this article, you can't set Threads to view only posts from accounts you follow, which, again, this just feels like they rushed it out and just didn't bother putting this in yet, but will be coming shortly if I had to guess, because this is a pretty obvious one that they'd need to have set up. There's also no web interface, but you can read the threads on the website, but you can't post them or interact with them in any way. And apparently you can't delete your Threads profile without deleting your Instagram, which seems like a pretty big oversight, but it seems like something a lot of people will have an issue with down the line. According to the quote here, you can deactivate it, but you can't delete it without, also annihilating your Instagram account. Also, there's no search functionality right now in Threads. It only lets you find user accounts, so they do say that they'll be adding more features to help discovery, obviously. That's very clear. This is just a rushed job getting it out, so it doesn't have all the features at the moment. And then the other thing is that it's not currently available in the EU, which I imagine it will be shortly. But yeah, anyway, like I said, even if I'm not making a Threads account right now, I am happy that there is competition in the space, and hopefully it can be a legitimate competitor to Twitter. So
Twitter these days, but sometimes I'll get the itch and I can't help but scratch it. And anytime I do wander into those woods, I don't find Winnie the Pooh with honey. I find chaos. The platform is just this perpetual powder keg that people are desperate to ignite. Even if there's nothing to be angry about, they'll make something up in their head to fight that ghost. They'll put on an imaginary friend to insult and go ballistic over, which is exactly what I saw today over this post from chess.com. They said, accepting new name ideas for this piece, and it's a picture of the bishop. A pretty normal shit post to any sane person who's not condemned to Arkham Asylum. It's engagement bait. It's a meme. I imagine most of you know by now, I'm not a big meme guy. I give most memes a 1 boom out of 5. I'm not a fan of engagement bait, so this isn't my favorite type of post by any means. But I'm also not a Neanderthal, so I'm able to recognize that clearly this is just a quick, throwaway, light-hearted meme that was meant to just get people engaged and saying silly names in the comment section. They were expecting people to just leave silly names under there, just real goofy stuff, and have a bit of fun with it. Aha, Bishop, change its name to Fallopian Tube, change its name to Booby! Or what about what about a shit piece? Ha ha ha. Like that kind of thing. And it's a meme they've done before on other pieces like the Rook. But oddly enough, the Rook has significantly less engagement than the Bishop. That's pretty curious. They thought they'd just be getting dumb names. What they got was a catastrophic war zone with meltdowns, crash outs, and bodies piling in the streets all over this engagement bait post. Because people perceived it as a political statement trying to erase Christianity from chess. I shit you not, a lot of the top replies to that post are people fighting to keep the Bishop name there, thinking that they're serious about changing its name, unable to recognize the very clear, obvious joke that I think even a toddler could pick up on. It's bad. Like, this is like Lord of the Flies, but everyone's piggy getting rocks dumped on them here. It's fucking tragic. Before going to the quote tweets, let's stay on the front lines here in the reply section. A ton of the top comments are basically this: I hate Jews so fucking much, man. Let me guess, you're Jewish. Even online chess is Jewish now. Crazy. And just shit like this over and over and over again. This is like the most common reply to anything on Twitter. If it's something someone doesn't like, you bet your sweet bippy the reply is gonna be like, damn you Jews! I was eating Cheerios this morning and I had one that wasn't a perfect circle. It's the fucking Jews trying to brainwash me again. Man, my cat went to use the litter box but just pissed outside of it. The Jews came in here in the middle of the night, burglarized my cat's bladder, and changed the trajectory of its pee to my floor. Jews, why? So I wasn't surprised to see that these were some of the top posts of the chess.com meme. That's just the Twitter bread and butter right now. That's like the signature special sauce. Fucking heavens to Betsy, yesterday I saw a post about a mother celebrating that her son graduated college, and the top reply just said, Jewish? Question mark. Anyway though, back into the trenches. They are bishops. Take your anti-religious nonsense back to Reddit. Please delete your account. How about we turn everyone who works for your garbage website into ground beef and feed you to Africans? You will never be able to erase our culture and history no matter how much you try. That's a big one that was repeated a lot. We invented chess and now you're trying to make it woke? Get out of here with that gay woke mind virus agenda. Go woke, go broke, checkmate. Tips Fedora. Up dudes to the left, kind stranger. I love that the checkmate was something they said a lot of. I think there was a real sense of like accomplishment with that, like very proud. First of all, though, we didn't invent chess. That didn't come from us. That came from India. Secondly, no one's making it woke. They're not actually changing the name of the bishop. It's a fucking meme engagement bait post they have also done for other chess pieces. Wake up! How can you be so soft? It's the bishop, you filthy rats. You want to rename the king to Comrade Stalin? Fuck your atheist gay race communism. That's the bishop. Forever will be. Amen, brother. As the bishop is gonna stay that way. Get your gay communists out of here. You want to take all this gay communism somewhere? You take it to the dump. Not on my sacred chessboard. That gay commie shit, that goes in the toilet and I flush it. That's what happens to the gay communism. The deconstruction of the Christian West lost at the ballot box. Fuck you guys. I'll just cancel my account if you try to pull this shit. Go fuck yourself and fire whoever recommended this idea and everyone who greenlit it. Fuck you. It's a bishop, and delete your Twitter account. It's 2025, we're not doing this anymore. Fourth Reich, 1,000 years, is still called a bishop. I know I mentioned we'd go through the quote tweets, but most of them are just kind of like this. The erasure of anything remotely Christian from society needs to stop. And then there's a couple of other quote tweets. There's a couple of other quote tweets that have like tens of thousands of likes, basically using it as a rallying cry, like, they're coming for us, they're trying to defeat us, we can't let them, we have to stand together. That kind of thing, which again isn't happening. There's no bishop name change coming in here in the chess patch notes. I can't believe we're at this point where that even needs to be said. And then there's a lot of cope from people that are being pointed out like, hey, that's not happening. You look kind of stupid for this kind of blow up over something that is clearly just a joke. They're like, well, it's a bad joke. Yeah, maybe they did it for the rook, but it's a drawn out shtick. They should have known that this is a terrible idea with the rook post. Well, why? The rook post didn't have anything like this on it. It was just clearly a meme.
But people go on Twitter with, like, stupid eyes. Like, they go on there with actual caveman brain where everything they see, it has to be an attack on them. Like, how am I going to be a victim today? Holy fuck, chess.com said they're changing the bishop piece. Why, I oughta? I never. It's like, it's craziness. It's actual craziness that we're at this point now, where now, even when they're pointed out, like, hey, this was a joke, you know, it's not that serious, people will still just refuse to accept that and be like, nope, this is a stupid thing. Chess deserves all the backlash they get for daring to try and have a little fun with a stupid meme that they've done before with no issue. They should have known this one would be very contentious. You know, they had to have known this going into it. It was by design. It was once again an attack on me. They knew that. So they deserve the shitstorm they got. Just a fascinating thing to stumble upon here while checking the old cesspool this morning. I do fuck heavy with that statement, comedy is now legal on Twitter. Yeah, I guess so. Though you run a big risk because even just telling like the lowest level, lowest hanging fruit joke imaginable here about a chess piece turns into a massive controversy on the platform. It's almost poetic. Like, it's tickling poetry with that. Anyway, though, I had to talk about this a bit. It is so fucking over the top silly, I could not resist. But yeah, once again, the bishop isn't getting a name change anytime soon. No need to panic. That's about it. See ya. Twitter is a place where fun and happiness goes to die. But people have talked about how shitty Twitter is a million times by now. I'm not going to be talking about that today. I'm not here to add another noodle to that spaghetti. Instead, I want to talk about my favorite moment on Twitter. And this is a classic. This is something that I still think about pretty often, and it puts a big goofy smile on my face. And I'd like to share it with all of you, just in case you weren't on Twitter at that time. And if you weren't, God bless you. Keep up the good work. But for those of you that may have missed it, I'd just like to bring it to your attention because this was truly one of the best moments on Twitter in my opinion. This happened in the crazy, wild, and wacky year of 2018. It was August 21st, and a young Charles White had only just recently celebrated his 23rd birthday. At the time, I hadn't even considered growing my hair out, how naive I was back then. A silly short-haired Charles in all his hubris took to Twitter on August 21st as he typically did, just perusing and seeing what was going on, cruising the internet, when all of a sudden, his eyes were drawn to a developing story that was starting to really make waves on the platform. And the story involved NASA and a recently hired intern. Everyone shut the fuck up. I got accepted for a NASA internship. That's absolutely massive. That's huge. Like, that is a big accomplishment and something definitely worthy of celebration. Like, shit, I would be going wild too, ripping my shirt off and twirling it over my head if NASA even asked me to lick their toilet seats clean. So absolutely, I see the jubilation they were going through, but perhaps they celebrated a bit too aggressively. A while after the initial tweet, there was this response from a man named Homer Hickam, and he said something very simple: language. This is some shit like right out of a movie. One single word that changes everything, and it did. You see, on Twitter, most people assume that when there's just a picture of a person and they're an older person, that it's either a fake account or someone that they can just bully. I don't know why Twitter has that impression that old people just deserve to be bullied on the internet, but that's how it goes on Twitter, where everyone gets bullied. So Homer came in here and just dropped his cock on the celebration, just flopped his meat out on the fucking birthday cake here, and just said exactly what every teacher growing up would say when the class was getting rowdy: language. And the community didn't take too kindly to that, and especially not the original poster, who replied with this: "Suck my dick and balls, I'm working at NASA." This is one of those lines that would be on their tombstone, because this was a big mistake. Like Icarus, they had flown too close to the sun and were burning up now. Because they didn't just talk shit to a random person on Twitter, they said this to Homer Hickam, who holds the entire future of this person's career in the palm of his hand. It just like his picture reminds me of Chris Hansen, and just like Chris Hansen, Homer Hickman has come out here and fucking shocked this person. Homer Hickman responds by saying, "And I am on the National Space Council that oversees NASA." You basically couldn't have chosen a worse person to say suck my dick and balls to. When it comes to their new job, they basically just told Jesus Christ to suck their dick and balls. It was a bold and foolish move, because our original poster here lost the internship. And it wasn't Homer Hickam who caused them to lose their internship. He didn't go to corporate, talk to the manager, and demand they lose it or anything like that. He didn't tattletale. They lost their internship naturally as a result of this conversation catching so much steam online. And Homer Hickam actually ran a blog where he talked about this, where he defended this person and elaborates a little bit further on the situation. So Homer Hickman seems like a fucking great guy. I'll go ahead and read his blog post to you now, which is unfortunately deleted, but it has been archived, so here it is. Social media. I love the way he starts this. It's like immediately professional, as if he's giving a full-blown fucking press release here to Twitter. Recently, it was called to my attention on Twitter that someone was being hired by NASA and that they were using the F word in a tweet about it. I'm a Vietnam vet and not at all offended by the F word. However, when I saw NASA and the word used together, it occurred to me that this young person might get in trouble if NASA saw it, so I tweeted to her one word, language, and intended to leave it at that. Soon, her friends took umbrage and said a lot of unkind things, but long after I was gone, as I immediately deleted my comments and blocked all concerned. Classic Twitter, bullying this guy until he just deactivates his shit, not surprising. Later, I learned she had lost her offer for an internship with NASA. This I had nothing to do with, nor could I, since I do not hire and fire at the agency or have any say on employment whatsoever. As it turned out, it was due to NASA hashtag her friends used that called the agency's attention to it long after my comments were gone. Again, classic Twitter. They thought they were helping, but they made it significantly fucking worse. It was all of her friends spamming NASA, which showed them the initial tweet of this person being extremely fucking hostile to a high-ranking NASA employee. So, excellent work, Twitter. We did it. She reached out to me with an unnecessary apology, which I heartily accepted and returned with my own. After talking to her, I am certain she deserves a position in the aerospace industry, and I'm doing all I can to secure her one that will be better than she lost. I have also talked to the folks that had to do with her internship and made absolutely certain that there will be no black mark on her record. Signed, Homer Hickam. It would have been such a power move and a huge mic drop if he didn't sign Homer Hickam and instead just ends it with, "Suck my dick and balls now." This guy seems like a real fucking class act. He gets absolutely fisted, his mud tunnel stretched on Twitter, unjustly, since he was literally just looking out for them in the first place by saying, hey, language, you shouldn't be saying NASA and fuck and suck dick and balls all in the same thing. NASA probably doesn't like that. Literally just looking out for this person and got nothing but hostility in response and having to deactivate his shit, and he still goes out of his way to try and help the person. That right there is a great guy. Now, from everything I've read, they never got the internship back, though they are still pursuing that field, and they were qualified for the position and still are qualified, but they no longer are offered that internship at NASA, and that's pretty much where the story ends. I just thought this was a truly fucking wild ride since I watched it happen in real time for the most part, and it was just so fucking crazy to see it go from like, I'm so happy, suck my fucking cock and balls, loser, I'm on NASA. Oh, there goes my internship. Just like this, it was like a full 4-act play, and it played out beautifully. And it was just great. So I just wanted to share that with all of you in case you never saw it, didn't know about it, and yeah. You already know what we're here to talk about. Twitter is the gift that just keeps on giving, like a birthday party clown that never runs out of ribbon to pull out of his thumb, and it makes me continue to burp and clap while smiling. It's a beautiful disaster. A blunder that never ends. It reminds me of like that cheese rolling competition that happens every year in the UK where they throw a cheese wheel down like a really steep hill and people just throw themselves down the hill, hurting themselves the whole way, tumbling, chasing after that cheese wheel. That's Twitter, constantly hurting itself in pursuit of that cheese. And in this case, it's the big cheese, the biggest cheese, money. Twitter is a platform that just burns money forever. And with Elon Musk at the helm now, it is desperate to start turning some kind of profit or at least mitigate the losses as best as possible. Because obviously you don't want to own a business that just keeps taking spaghetti out of your bank account here forever and burning it. So they've been coming up with all kinds of different plans in order to try and make Twitter generate some level of money. And I've followed it pretty closely. I've made quite a few videos going over a lot of the silly stuff that's happened recently, but I haven't talked about it very much, even though they have made some decisions that I still think are comically bad. For example, you can now no longer even access any Twitter content unless you log in. So if you try and read a tweet, watch a Twitter video, or anything like that, and you're not logged in on desktop, you just get taken right to the sign-in page, which I think is a luxury afforded only to Twitter. That is the only platform that can get away with that. Imagine if you went on YouTube and it wouldn't allow you to watch any videos until you signed in. It'd kill the platform. But Twitter is more addicting than heroin, and the people that are hooked on the product perpetually need their fix. It reminds me of Bane from Batman, how he constantly has those tubes that are filtering that juice, that venom into his body in order for him to live. That's a lot of people's relationship with Twitter. They fucking need that poison in their life. So if they're forced to log in to even view anything on the platform, they'll do it without a second thought, really, with a smile on their face. But it's really the only platform that can get away with it. They're the only platform afforded that luxury. Other platforms like YouTube, again, for example, would absolutely see a drastic decrease in the amount of traffic that they get. Platforms like Reddit, too, I imagine if you have to log in to read anything on the platform, would also see a significant drop-off. But we're not here to talk about that change. Instead, I want to focus on the big change from today. And that is Elon Musk finally targeting data scrapers, which is a legitimate problem. I want to make this very clear up front. Data scraping is actually a problem. I didn't realize how big of a problem it was for so many companies until I watched Mudahar's video on it today. And data scraping is extremely expensive, and there is so many people exploiting a lot of like API and just in general a lot of shady shit going on with data scraping, that it is something that does require a solution. But this is Elon Musk's solution, and it's basically just kill the host as well as the parasite. So he's imposing a limitation on all accounts. So he says, to address extreme levels of data scraping and system manipulation, we've applied the following temporary limits. Verified accounts are limited to reading 6,000 posts a day, unverified accounts up to 600 posts per day, and new unverified accounts to 300 posts per day. Now, to be clear, this just means if you see this many posts. It's not about how many times you post. If you post something, it counts as 1 on your daily Twitter allowance. But if you scroll past a post, that still counts. So anything you scroll by, anything at all on Twitter counts as posts. So if you scroll through like 10 comments, that's 10 of your 300 posts for the day if you're a new unverified account. So people have been speedrunning to see how long it takes to reach this limit. And right now I believe this is the world record, 2 minutes and 33 seconds. But keep in mind, this any percent route here is about 2 minutes worth of time lost to setting up the account itself. So the speedrun goes from actual nothing, you don't have an account, to then going through the captchas, going through the codes, the emails, and all of that. And it's about 2 minutes to set up your account, and then the other 33 seconds is spent scrolling. And then this is what you get at the very end of your journey here. Rate limit exceeded. And most people get this within the first couple of minutes if it's a new unverified account. Now for older unverified accounts, it goes up to 600 per day. So double that. You basically get like about 10 minutes. At being very generous, you'd get about 10 minutes worth of scrolling for your unverified account before you get the rate limit exceeded. Now, if you have like the Twitter Blue Boy Scout badge, 6,000 posts per day is probably what a normal person will be fine with. I don't think many people, aside from like actual hard addicts and power users of Twitter, are going to scroll past 6,000 posts per day. So that one probably isn't going to give any Twitter Blue enthusiasts a big problem. But the other two basically restrict everyone's access to the site to only a handful of minutes. He does say that this is just like a temporary thing, so a band-aid for the data scraping problem. Not sure exactly how long they're going to engage in this social experiment of self-destruction, but he is saying up front that it is temporary. So I guess this is just going to be a matter of waiting to see how long it continues for. Now, this is good and bad because I've been very vocal about how awful I think Twitter is as a platform for the mental health of everyone that uses it. So anything that gets people off the platform for an extended period of time I think is a good thing. It gets them doing other things that aren't just brain rot on Twitter. But of course, as a platform, it does provide real value to a lot of people as well. So for a lot of like businesses or artists or anything like that that rely on Twitter in order for marketing or in order to get their content out. It's very rough because so many people are going to hit their rate and not see what you're posting, or you won't see what they're posting if it's something that you actively check in on. And of course, Twitter is invaluable when it comes to like real world important events. Like a lot of times that news breaks on Twitter and people follow it there. But with the new Twitter allowance here for what you're allowed to see a day, you'd have a very hard time keeping up with a developing story, especially like, let's say it's in your area, so it'd be like really important to you. If you hit your Twitter allowance, you exceed your rate, you now get cut off from that information. So there is like an actual problem here with this system. It's a bit deeper than just go touch grass now, loser. This is a good thing. You're free. You can go touch grass. There is like an actual underlying issue with this whole format. So it is a big issue overall, and you can see why this would kill the platform. If you can only use it for 10 minutes per day, it's not exactly going to be something that stands the test of time. It becomes less of a social media platform and more of like a mobile game daily quest that you do in a couple of minutes and then you're done for the day, which is exactly what Mudahar said in his video, and he's right on the nose with it. That's 100% correct. The number one thing that online companies are salivating over is how to keep you on their platform. It's the reason YouTube has such a robust recommended algorithm. It's constantly feeding you videos it thinks you want to watch, because if it's things you want to watch, you stay on the platform for a longer period of time. All of these companies are fighting for your time. They want to keep you there as long as possible. With this new Twitter policy, they're now driving you away from the platform as quickly as possible. So they're trying to target data scraping to solve that problem, but they're giving themselves a new problem, which is nobody's going to be able to use the service anymore. You are driving users off of the platform in a matter of minutes for the vast majority of your user base. They can't spend time on your platform even if they wanted to, because you are limiting the amount of time they can spend there drastically. Again, unverified accounts can't spend very long on the platform at all, a handful of minutes per day. So they're going to go to competing services. So it should be pretty obvious why Twitter would likely be buried if this becomes their permanent solution to the data scraping problem. It won't be a site that's able to exist anymore because it won't have a user base left, because they literally would not be able to use the platform because they'll hit their rates so quickly. It's what's been happening all day to so many accounts. And Elon Musk recognized that as well. He must have seen that so many people were instantly exceeding their rate and being cut off from the service, so he increased it to 8K, 800, and 400. That 400 makes pretty much no difference. That is negligible. That'll give you an extra 5 seconds worth of scrolling, so that's who gives a shit. The 800 gives you maybe another couple of minutes of scrolling, and then the 8,000 doesn't really matter because that wasn't the biggest issue with the change. Or maybe I'm dreadfully underestimating just how addicted people are to Twitter. Like maybe people are scrolling past more than 6,000 or 8,000 posts per day. But regardless, he increased the limit because so many people were hitting it so quickly. As I was recording this video, he increased it again to 10,000, 1,000, and then 500. The 500 is still, once again, not a big difference. You're still going to have to be rationing your time on the platform to make sure you don't see unnecessary tweets that take away from your allowance. So that is, again, still not going to be a big deal. It adds maybe an extra 3 seconds to the speedrun route. The 1,000 for unverified accounts that have existed for a while, that might be, let's just be super generous and say that it gives you like a full hour worth of scrolling on Twitter if you do it at like a very leisurely pace and you painstakingly read everything you scroll by. Like maybe that'll give you like an hour. But then once again, increasing the Twitter Blue to 10,000, this is just starting to highlight that I might just be really out of touch with how addicted people really are. Because again, I thought 6 or 8K was probably not really the big issue with this, because I didn't think most Twitter Blue subscribers would be that deep into fucking doom scrolling forever. But I mean, he's increasing the Twitter Blue one again to 10K. So I mean, there must be an issue on that front as well. But regardless, you can see that the rate limiting of everyone on the platform is starting to cause some kind of internal panic. Clearly the goal is to combat the bad actors with data scraping, but it's coming at the cost of killing the entire platform for everybody else. It's like hunting a mosquito with a bazooka. you'll kill the mosquito, but everything else around it too. And in this case, it's your users that aren't paying for Twitter Blue, which is the vast, vast majority of your user base. It's obviously trying to push all of the unverified accounts to paying Twitter Blue subscribers. It's trying to convert them into handing over some money out of their wallet so that way they continue to spend all day on Twitter like they're used to. So all the goals are pretty obvious here. Obviously trying to stop losing as much money as they are to data scraping, and also trying to convert the people that aren't willing to drop some doubloons on Twitter into people that will pay money for a Twitter Blue subscription, so that way they can unlock the, bigger allowance for the site. They can spend more time on there. They get to unlock more time with Twitter. I don't know how successful that's going to be. Hopefully it won't be at all. I really don't see a world where people hit their rate and then just immediately grab their fucking credit card because they are scratching at their neck for more Twitter immediately. I hope that isn't the case. But regardless, should this system carry over for a long period of time, I really do see it being the legitimate end of the site. Again, most people aren't going to be paying for a service that has been free for as long as it's existed. So I just don't see a world where all of a sudden they're going to be okay with it now. But like Mudahar, I recognize that data scraping is a problem that requires a solution. And somehow Elon Musk found the worst solution to the problem. I don't have the answers though. So don't look at me to, cough up something genius here to stop data scraping without ruining the entire platform for all of the users that aren't paying for it. Because I don't know how to even begin combating it. But surely there's got to be something else that doesn't immediately nuke the whole platform. So I guess we'll just have to wait to see how everything continues developing here, but I did think this was actually pretty fascinating. Twitter is one of the few platforms that repeatedly makes decisions that I think are counterintuitive to long-term health of it, but it's still around, it hasn't died yet, and maybe it'll endure this change as well. There's no telling, but just want to spaghetti and meatballs. And it brings me no joy to keep talking about Twitter continuously getting worse with more and more embarrassing changes that keep hitting the platform. I would love to be talking about it getting better, right? Talking about oh man, Twitter's introducing an amazing change and people are, pumping their fists in celebration. But that is just not the utopia we live in. That Narnia doesn't exist. Right now, we're cursed with this brain rot Twitter that only somehow continues to fester and ooze. And what we're talking about today is its latest fumble with a new bad decision. It's actually been a whole handful of goofy changes, but I'm just going to focus on the silliest ones. So let's get into the cream of the crop, the biggest one people are talking about right now, the legacy checkmarks. For a few months now, Elon Musk was saying it needs a drastic overhaul. I've got my finger on the trigger and I'm about to just blow the fucking brains out of these checkmarks. He was going to eradicate the old blue checkmarks, letting everyone know it's about to go extinct like the dinosaurs. Elon Musk was coming in, dropping the asteroid. The only check marks that would exist after April 1st of this year were going to be the Twitter Blue check marks, the paid ones, $8 a month, flushed right down the shitter. Those would be the only blue check marks left. Well, it looks like we all survived Armageddon because it's April 2nd and there's only been one minor tweak to the blue check mark system. This is kind of like when the Mayan calendar stopped at 2012, but then we hit 2012 and kept going, so people were curious about oh wow, how did we, what happened to the end of the world? That's what's got everyone scratching their head right now, because the blue checkmark system is exactly the fucking same, except now the wording on them is changed. So everyone that had a legacy checkmark before the purge still has it. There was no purge. It was a false flag operation, I guess. All that changed is how they explain it. So now, if you look at any checkmark, they all say the same thing, which is this account is verified because it's subscribed to Twitter Blue or is a legacy verified account. It's such a minor tweak and not at all what it was hyped up to be. This really feels like it was running defense for the feelings of people who paid $8 for Twitter Blue and kept getting bullied because it proudly showcased that they are verified because they paid for it. So they were being relentlessly bullied all over Twitter for anyone that bought the service. Now, this muddies the waters, so you'll never know if that checkmark is from someone that paid for it or if they were a important person with a legacy verification checkmark. It really feels like it was just to protect the feelings of those pay piggies that were dumping the $8. So that was pretty lame and disappointing, but if you are a Twitter Blue subscriber, now's the time to rejoice. You'll be able to sleep easier at night knowing that people won't be able to laugh and spit on you as easily as before, since they won't know if you're dumping the $8 a month for that checkmark. But there have been a couple other changes that I think are worth mentioning here since we're talking about it, and one of them is about the other two badges. So there's also a gray badge in addition to the blue one. This is a completely different badge, and it's reserved for government officials or politically powerful people. It goes to them. That's not something you can buy. That is something that you have bestowed upon you, like Elon Musk personally knighting you with the gray badge on the platform for the politically powerful people. And there's really nothing I think that's wrong with that. I actually think that's probably a pretty good idea, so that way people don't ever really get confused. But one thing that I don't really like about it is that it's gray, and sometimes when I'm just scrolling, since I'm on dark mode, I don't even notice if there's a check mark there, so sometimes I just think that it's a troll account or something. They should make it more obvious. They should have made that one fucking glisten. Like, have it be red with flames coming off of it, maybe like sound effects, fucking fireworks blasting off like you just hit 99 in a skill in RuneScape. Like, that one they should have went hog wild on. But regardless, there's another badge as well, and this one's for corporations. That's the gold badge, the little Mario coin. So the gold badge is interesting. The gold badge is for brands and companies, nonprofits, any of that, and it costs $1,000 per month in addition to an extra $50 per month for each affiliate sub-account, i.e. employees, brands, or divisions. But there is an exemption here. The top 10,000 most followed brands, companies, and organizations that have already been verified will be exempt from the $1,000 monthly fee. So if you're like a startup business and you want the gold badge to help solidify to customers that this is the official brand account, well then I hope you've got your pocketbook at the ready, because you're going to need to pony up at least $1,000 per month for that bitch. That is not cheap whatsoever. And I actually would be super insulted if I was a startup business that would find value in that gold badge, because the top 10,000 most followed corporate accounts, as well as just its 500 largest advertisers, are being grandfathered into it for free. These are massive corporations that could easily afford the $1,000 per month charge without feeling shit. Meanwhile, you got mom and pop Wiggleberry, who just launched their artisan candle business that really wanted the gold checkmark to try and extend their reach online, and they're gonna have to fork out a fucking ton for it. So that would be pretty insulting as a small business owner who might want the gold checkmark. I don't think it's necessary whatsoever. I don't think the gold checkmark's going to necessarily be hitting home runs for your bottom line and getting you more customers, but I have heard from a few small businesses and nonprofits that aren't going to be, with the waived fee here, that were very upset about it. And I do understand why they would be, because again, that is expensive for smaller businesses. Meanwhile, the businesses that are already huge that could easily afford it don't have to. They don't have to eat the cost at all. Instead, it's coming from smaller businesses, which is weird. That seems kind of backwards to me, but whatever. I thought that was at least worth mentioning, because $1,000 per month for a fucking badge on Twitter is in and of itself a wonderful joke. Now, the last change that I'd like to discuss is one that kind of branches off of a bigger topic. What is the value of even being verified on Twitter? Well, I think the answer is nothing. I think there is absolutely no fucking value in being verified on Twitter. One of the things Elon Musk has been hyping up for a while is monetization options, but as of right now, they're non-existent. There's really no such thing as like Twitter monetization. You're not going to make a living off of just fucking shit posting tweets with a verified account. At least not yet. Though I do wonder if he is like genuinely exploring that to see if there is a way to have content on Twitter generate ad revenue for its Twitter Blue subscribers to incentivize them to keep posting. I think that's the plan. It's just not fully realized yet. So as of right now, it is completely worthless to have the check mark. It doesn't give you any kind of big priority in comments, at least not that I've seen. It doesn't offer you any useful tools outside of the ability to review a tweet before sending it or make like an edit to it, which who really gives a fuck? It's Twitter. You could just delete the tweet if you want to. It's very simple and very quick already. It just seems like a complete waste of money. But with a recent announcement from Musk, it seems like he's really trying to make Twitter Blue a requirement to even use the platform effectively. So the change is that only verified users will show up in the recommended feed, and also that only verified accounts will even appear in the Twitter's For You feed. making the claim that this is the only realistic way to address advanced AI bot swarms taking over. It goes into effect on April 15th, and also voting in polls will require verification for the same reason. I don't really care too much about the poll voting shit. That doesn't matter at all to me. Twitter polls are completely fucking useless. But the shutting out non-verified accounts from For You recommendations, that's a load of horseradish right there, especially with the reason given to stop AI bot swarms. This feels like a totally different tone and attitude here, as opposed to the old Elon, the bold Elon, who went to war with bots right away when he took over the platform, stating that he was going to make sure bots and all of those troll fake accounts weren't going to be an issue anymore, and he had so many plans to get rid of it. Now he's saying it's a losing battle without just taking off unverified accounts from the For You recommendation page. What the fuck happened? Yeah, they won, I guess? Jesus Christ. That's a weird way of combating that. There's plenty of other ways of combating bots that don't involve just slapping the people that aren't paying $8 a month. I don't think I need to explain why this is a terrible decision. Everyone was dunking on him for this one. Even the biggest of supporters for Musk were pretty put off by this because it just does seem weak, no matter how you spin it, saying it's a losing battle unless he turns off a pretty crucial component to the service, which is allowing unverified accounts, any account, to show up on the For You recommendations based on algorithms and shit. Like, that has been a core part of Twitter for a while now, so taking that away, stating like he's going to lose to bots if he doesn't, is very weird and not a great look. And since we're on the topic of For You, I want to quickly just ask, what the fuck is going on with For You on Twitter? I talked about this on stream and everyone's having the exact same experience over the last couple months, where every time you go on, there's just random death and gore videos, like out the wazoo. Every time I scroll through Twitter for more than like 3 or 4 seconds, I'll inevitably scroll past someone just getting shot somewhere in a video of it, or like a fight that broke out that led to someone getting killed. And it's not even based on my previous viewing. Like, I don't go out of my way to watch like best gore on Twitter or anything. Like, it's out of nowhere, and everyone seems to be having a similar experience. And if it's not death and gore videos, it's for some reason other horrific shit that's not even viral. Like, they're not even viral clips. I don't understand why it's doing that. I don't know if it's by design or if there's just something that's got a little funky in there, but it's certainly odd. And I just wanted to at least mention that briefly. But overall, these are not amazing changes so far for Twitter. Maybe they'll get it together and start pumping out some great ones, but man, it has been a load of L's for that platform. Elon Musk bought it not too long ago for $44 billion, and it is currently valued at roughly like $20 billion. So not exactly seeing the best of returns at the moment, and doesn't really seem to have the best of ideas. But who knows, maybe it'll start to really pick itself up. Panic, I haven't fallen off the wagon. I'm not back to the addiction of clowning on Twitter / Elon Musk and a lot of the unbelievable cringe that he indulges in. That's not the purpose of the video today. I know I've made a lot of videos about that platform, X, formerly known as Twitter, which no one calls it X for good reason. It's an absolutely atrocious name. I'm already getting off on a tangent here because they're making fun of Twitter is more addictive than heroin and Magic the Gathering card collecting. Like, there's just something about it. It just feels so good to insult, to spit on it. But again, that's not what I'm doing today. So don't worry, I made you a solemn vow, a promise, that I wouldn't just keep making fun of that platform. I want to talk about what they're trying to do right now with streaming because I legitimately do think it is a good thing. But we are still going to sprinkle on some seasoning here of some insults because the very first test stream for Elon Musk on Twitter did not go overly well. For those that don't know what I'm talking about, Elon Musk has been making a big hoopla about making Twitter a strong streaming platform. He really wants it to be this all-encompassing hub for content to keep you hooked like cigarettes. So it'll have a little bit of everything, and that includes gaming streams. So in order to test it, he went live last night to do some Diablo 4 runs. And boy howdy, it didn't go swimmingly, I'd say. I got to watch most of it unfold live on stream last night with Matt and Danny, and it was a confusing mess of a stream, but I do think the idea of bringing streaming to Twitter is a solid idea. I have long been an outspoken advocate for competition, and in the streaming space, it's been mainly dominated by Twitch for a long time. Of course, they've been floundering a little bit here. Unfortunately, SpongeBob has been whipping up some nasty patties of some ideas at the Twitch headquarters, so they haven't been really crushing it at the top, which has led to the rise of other competitors that are legitimately popping off. Like, they're not nearly to Twitch's level, but they are competitive in the market. So things like Kick, Rumble, YouTube, Facebook, not so much. Facebook is a place where streaming goes to die. That's just kind of like a sad, pathetic joke of a streaming platform, but it does exist and it does pull some numbers. Point is, streaming has become far more competitive over the last couple of years, and now Twitter is looking to have a strong streaming competitor as well. And overall, I just think it's a good thing because as more competition arises, it forces all of the other platforms to improve. So mainly YouTube and Twitch, which are the two biggest. If there's more competition out there, there's more reason for them to improve their service. So overall, competition is always the best thing for consumers. So even though the first stream was rocky and Elon Musk is the furthest thing from a streamer, it at least is a proof of concept that shows that they do want to actually make streaming prevalent on the site, which again, I think is helpful to the entire streaming ecosystem because then the top dogs can't just endlessly coast and, stagnate and refuse to improve their platform. They'll need to, hopefully, assuming Twitter becomes a legitimate competitor with streaming. So let's go ahead and take a look at how Elon's first stream unfolded, because it's a bit of a head scratcher.
The candle's the size of him.
That is a massive candle. That looks like something out of Dark Souls.
What is that?
That's cool. I kind of want one.
That's like...
We're going to watch his house burn down in real time.
He told his assistant he wanted a candle, and they were like, "How much should it cost?" And he was like, "I don't know, $45,000." Okay.
How much do candles go for? Like $400? I just make sure you get enough. Breathing directly into the mic now.
Yep. 5-foot candle. Let's see.
He's actively trying to suck all the oxygen out of the room.
God damn, these are big.
This looks like a satanic ritual room.
It really does.
There's nothing on the walls. It's just empty with a giant candle.
He's really breathing into that mic.
He fixed the flicker, though, it seems.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, no, the flicker is not fixed. It was just in the pause screen. Yeah.
It's back.
Where is chat on Twitter streaming?
I'm watching on my phone. If you just go vertical, you can see it at the bottom, but it's off. Chat is off.
Oh, it's off. Oh, he turned chat off?
Yeah, he's a coward.
Oh, yeah, he wouldn't want to get bullied. That's like his worst nightmare. Why is he streaming this right now?
I don't know.
Why is he doing this?
How tall is a standard desk on a table? It definitely is not. It's 100% not on a table. You can see it right now.
Table, yeah.
Yeah, it goes all the way to the ground. And then the question is there a mirror behind him, or is there a second massive
He's got rooms of candles.
God. When there's not a flashbang on his face, this actually looks like Dark and Darker.
It looks so demonic.
It's dungeon-esque.
Somebody said with the lights on, homie, he looks like he's in the presence of a deity.
Just watch a YouTube tutorial, Elon. Like, goddamn.
Yeah, please. Do anything. The first thing everybody yells is turn off VSync. Try that. Or turn it on.
I think it's just his OBS settings. He just said OBS, I'm pretty sure. I think it's just the settings.
I just wonder why it's not happening in menu.
That's okay, I guess.
Oh, good question.
That shit is so bad.
See, like, it's not even on his inventory. It's just the game.
Good point.
It's weird. Elon, give me in there.
You know what he probably did? He probably set his bitrate to like 40,000 or some shit.
Oh,
so
I
now,
can't handle.
Yeah, so now it's kind of cooking it.
So I like just look at the replies to the live post and just occasionally.
Sir.
What was that statement? What the fuck?
That was not a complete sentence. What was that?
It sounded like he casted a spell.
Yeah.
So this is supposed to be a speed run, right?
I don't know.
I think that's what he's advertising.
Oh my god. I just got fragged by a bloodlister.
Wow.
Well then, the first mob. What a speed run.
Oh, his name is I Will Never Die.
There we go. Now he's
Yeah,
moving.
He's cooking.
There we go. He had to get the wiggles out.
Yeah, it's his first time live streaming. He's got a big audience. He was nervous.
Yeah. And since it's dark in here, you can't even see the flickering that much.
That's
Bro.
true.
Oh, he's dead. Oh, wow.
That would have been awful if you died back-to-back times on this one mob.
This might be a bit of a grind.
All in all, the stream lasted about 40 minutes. It was a tech test. At the end, he was talking about how there's a lot to improve, but overall was just kind of working the bugs out. Now, he himself isn't the most amazing streamer. There was no chat, so he couldn't interact with anyone or anything, and he didn't really make any conversation on his own or even really talk. Most of the first 20 minutes was spent with him face down, buried in his phone. Like, he looked like me back in high school at prom, just like on the side of the wall, like just looking at my phone and nothing else. Like, it was just really insufferably boring just watching him struggle in Diablo and then not say anything at all, just kind of stare blankly at it and occasionally go, and that was about it. But he doesn't claim to be a good streamer, right? He's not out here trying to start his streaming career or anything. This really seemed like it was supposed to be a tech test. I just wish he had at least done the bare minimum beforehand to just make sure that he got his settings correct, because you could have probably found that flicker through just recording before going live and could have fixed it, because that was just unwatchable. That flicker was legitimately giving me a headache. And I'm not even like sensitive to that kind of stuff, but it was just so aggressive, like it was just making me disoriented. And you could have probably massaged that issue out before ever going live. Like, I don't think that just spontaneously happened when he clicked start stream. He probably could have figured it out through just a recording. But other than that, I do legitimately think it is a good idea for Twitter to offer streaming, just because I do like when there's more competition in the space. And since we've seen so many other streaming platforms that are performing well, it shows that there is room in the market for more competitors, which again just makes the entire industry more competitive, which makes everything better, because they have to be better in order to stay competitive. So yeah, anyway, just wanted to kind of talk about this a little bit. I guess we'll see where streaming's at in a year from now on Twitter. Maybe they never actually get it together or make it super functional or super great, or maybe they do and it becomes a legitimate competitor in the industry. We'll see.